I want to talk about the series Hellsing for a minute. The basic premise of the series is about a vampire hunting group called Hellsing, which is run by Integra Hellsing, descendant of Abraham Van Helsing. Her secret weapon is a vampire named Alucard. Her organization exists to fight vampires and other paranormal threats, but the series eventually leads to Hellsing facing not only a corrupt Catholic church group, Iskrit 13, which aspires to eliminate all non-Catholics, including vampires from the world, and a group of Nazi vampires led by a man only known as the Major. These Nazi vampires fly around in a fleet of airships led of course by the Hindenburg II. I don't want to go too in depth about the plot this time around. I think it's definitely something that you need to read to believe. The premise is so insane that explaining it kind of takes away from the experience. This review will go into spoilers a bit because I found that despite the premise, Hellsing never truly lives up to the craziness one would hope for. First and foremost is the protagonist problem. Despite seemingly being Victoria Saris, a young cop-turned-vampire who has to navigate her new life in the crazy world of vampire hunting, she often takes a side seat to Alucard and is frequently not even present while Alucard is off taking names. In the end of the story, Walter is arguably the final boss of the series. He betrays Hellsing, becomes a vampire, and is able to hold his own against Alucard. After Alucard is defeated, which I'll get into in a moment, it stands to reason that Saris would take on a man who served as her mentor and killed her master, right? Wrong. Walter is killed by some guy who appears in a spin-off series of Hellsing, who comes into the main story about 10 chapters before this. Meanwhile, Saris fights some glorified bodyguard in a basement while Integra deals with the Major. Saris feels like a bystander in the manga, which she is the protagonist of. To put it simply, the end of Hellsing is a clusterfuck, and not in the way that the premise suggests it should be. Noticeably, the fights become more and more confusing, full of motion and jagged ends that blend together to create a messy picture, although this was slightly a problem towards the beginning. Full of a variety of twists that have varying effectiveness. When Walter decides he values immortality over his friends and then quickly realizes that this was wrong. The twist throws everything we knew about Walter out the door for a simple shock moment. Next is the human versus monster argument. Alucard, in the Major's words, is not a human because he willingly accepted becoming a vampire. He lacks the human will. This is played upon when Iscariot 13's Father Anderson turns himself into a tree monster, and when we find out that the Major is a cyborg. The Major argues that a human mind is all that matters for being human, and despite his robotic parts, he's more human than Alucard. As a twist, it's somewhat cheap, but it ties in thematically with the rest of the story as well as the Major waging a war to destroy the biggest threat to man, Alucard. Lastly, we have Alucard's death, where he inadvertently consumes the soul of Schrödinger, who has the ability to be anywhere and nowhere when aware of himself. When lost in Alucard's Sea of Souls, Alucard is sent into a state of non-existence until he can purge the souls in his body down to only his own. Despite being meant to take Alucard out of the story, I feel this twist is because Saris doesn't avenge his defeat or take the central role in the story any more than she did before. And we never see Alucard take a real defeat, such as at the hand of Walter, which is even more ironic considering the story's main problem in the first half was that Alucard was so powerful that he was incapable of losing to anybody. Destroys all tension that there should be in important scenes. Despite all my criticisms, I think Hellsing is a fairly strong manga and I recommend it, especially to people who are fans of horror such as myself, who get a lot more out of something that's based so strongly on vampires and horror and Dracula and all those good Dracula mythos.